This is the turkey breast.
Over here to give me a good trim line, so I know exactly how much fat to cut off. Texas brisket.
But if you get a chance here in a little bit.
So for me, Texas barbecue is the best barbecue in the world.
Beautiful. Pork ribs. These are really good. If you get a chance here in a little bit, try one of these. They're very good. Smart man. These are turkeys. This is the turkey breast. It is green apple, mango, and habanero. Yeah, it's good. It's a good mix. It's a Texas Twinkie, and it's a jalapeno pepper stuffed with a mixture of cream cheese, chopped brisket, and then a little bit of cheddar cheese, and then wrapped in bacon. Post oak. Yeah, post oak, as far as brisket, I think it probably has the best flavor. Any of the bush out there. go get a box. Yeah, it's not to be ready. These will be ready in just a minute. These we're gonna flip them. I just glaze it. Charlo beans. Oh, these are delicious. Very good. Very good.
collard greens. This is his grandmother's recipe, the owner. His grandmother's recipe. Like a warm cabbage.
It's our side dish.
Yeah. Good video. Get some sleep.
Several drinks.
I look at about 20 minutes.
The smoke turns it all into bark. It's called the Maillard reaction. And it'll develop on its own, especially with the salt and pepper. Pulls all that moisture to the surface. Too close to being done, we'll check it out. Yep. These are gonna be ready. Yet. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I thought this was...
First of all, notice that we only use prime brisket. That's very important in the United States, especially in Texas. We only use prime. It's the highest grade of beef that we can buy. We're going to take it out of the package. Try not to get the blood everywhere. Sometimes can't help it. So where I'm going to start, this is called the fat cap, and this brisket is split into two parts. Right down in the half. This part over here is called the flat. It's what we call lean. So when we ask people if they want a moist or lean, we're talking about the lean down here. This is called the point. And this gets a lot of marbling. So when we ask people if they want moist or lean, if they say moist, we're going to take it out of this side right here. So right now we're just going to cut it and trim it up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut on this side over here to give me a good trim line, so I know exactly how much fat to cut off that cap. And the reason why that's important is because when this brisket is cooking, we want this fat cap to lay down on the brisket. We don't want to have to cut the fat off, because the fat is where all the marbling is, it's where all the flavor is. But we have to cut it down so that it lays on top of the brisket like icing on a cake. If you leave it too thick, then by the time it gets to the plate, they're gonna cut it off because it's too much fat. So we're gonna very carefully trim it out and hopefully get it just right above the meat, about 1/4 of an inch, sometimes about 1/8 of an inch. So that's looking really good. I'm gonna get some over here. I love trimming these briskets, and I love getting that fat as close to the meat as I can, because I know once it cooks for about 14 to 15 hours, that fat is going to render down on top of that meat, and it's going to make that first bite of brisket, it's going to make it phenomenal. That's what we want people to feel, like it's a phenomenal piece of meat that they just ate. Now we do this to every single brisket. We cook about 40 a day. So we trim just like this on every brisket. It's a lot of labor, but it has to be done. Trim it back here just a little bit. Now we're going to use all that meat for sausage and hamburger and meatloaf and whatever else we can figure out to do with it. This side looks pretty good. I'm going to show you the thickness. Now when we started, we had about 1/2 inch of fat, and now you can see it's about 1/4 of an inch to 1/8 of an inch all the way down that brisket. And what that means is when it cooks on the smoker for 14 hours, that fat's going to flow into the meat, and it's going to give it a good crust, and it's going to be absolutely beautiful at the end. We'll pretty it up just a little bit. But then we're going to go over to this side over here. And what we're doing is we're going to trim so that we get a beautiful aerodynamic brisket. So when that smoke hits the brisket, it doesn't get caught anywhere. It flows right over the top of that brisket, and it gives it a good even cook. There's a large piece of fat over here that we're going to take out because it's unused. This is just trimming it up to where it's pretty. We want that brisket, when it's all cooked, we want it to look beautiful when we set it on the block to cut it. A lot of it's about presentation as much as it is about taste. So we want it to look beautiful. So we take care. We take this kind of concern and care on every brisket that we trim. We'll turn it over. We'll get some of this fat off here. This is called a decal here, and it's a hard piece of fat, and it will not render. So it'll stop the flow of the cook of the meat if we don't take it out. So we kind of surgically take that out of there. Leave a little bit so it protects the meat itself. And this brisket's almost done. Trimmed out real good. We're going to take a little bit of this skin off of it. And that brisket is ready to go to the pit. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so we're gonna season the brisket. Seasoning is very important, obviously. It gives it the taste, okay? And you remember when we trimmed the fat cap on top of that, on top of the meat, the fat cap right here, we trimmed it up where it's about 1/4 of an inch from the meat, because we want that fat cap to render down into that meat and cause a crust. Well, we have to have seasoning on the fat cap in order for it to develop a crust during the smoke. So this is our seasoning. I developed this seasoning many years ago, and this is the seasoning that we put on all of our beef. So here we go. I'm going to season all of this brisket, not just part of it. Every side we're going to season. All of the brisket. The seasoning is so good on beef. It brings out the flavor of the beef, and it gives it a good solid crust. All right, before we do the top, we're going to do the bottom, because when we do the top, we don't want to mess it up by turning it over. We give it a good even seasoning. Want to get rid of those little clumps. We want it to be even. We want it to be balanced. We don't want it to be clumpy. We don't want part of the brisket to be more seasoned than the other part, because when we cut it and we plate it, we want people, every bite they take, we want it to taste the same. Now we're going to pat it down. I love that right there. Now we're going to turn it over gently. And we're going to do the top. A lot of people ask what makes the difference in my briskets, because we all trim the same. But what makes the difference in my brisket is the seasoning. This is great seasoning, and we sell it all over the world. So we're going to give it a nice balanced seasoning on the top of that brisket, which is what we call the fat cap. This is money right here. This is money right here. It makes a difference on how we season. It makes a difference on the balance of the seasoning. It makes a difference on how the brisket cooks and how it cooks evenly. And make sure we get this in good. Woo! Make sure we get this side good. Now that right there is a good Texas brisket. So this is a 1,000-gallon pit. It's the biggest pit that we have in Texas. So we cook about 40 briskets on this pit. All right, so what we do, it's easy. We build a fire and we can load it up with brisket. For the pit, the fire is the most important thing. Not the meat, the fire. If the fire is not managed properly, the meat won't cook properly. So you always want to make sure that there's a lot of air running through the fire so that it draws it, so that the stack draws it through the pit like a convection oven. If it doesn't have a lot of space in between the logs, it won't draw the air, and it'll stop right here, and the briskets will not cook properly. So the management of the fire is the most important thing when cooking briskets on a pit. We only use the wood in Texas barbecue is very important. It's got to be seasoned right. It's got to have 30% or less moisture in it, because we want it to burn hot and fast so that we can get good clean smoke in our meat. We go through about 2 cords of wood every week. This is great wood. We only use post oak wood in Texas because it's indigenous to Texas, and we have plenty of it, and it's a great wood to smoke meat. I'm Terry Sullivan. I own Sullivan BBQ in Lewisville, Texas. I opened this restaurant in January of 2020. This is my 14th restaurant in the last 40 years. Half of those restaurants were steakhouses and half of those restaurants were barbecue houses. I started cooking barbecue 40 years ago, and I have worked it and worked it and worked it, learned how to do it, trial by error, and over the last 40 years, we have come up with some really good brisket. Well, everything we have is smoked on pits, on real pits with real fire, real smoke, real wood, and that's different. A lot of guys use electric pits, but we don't. We're old-fashioned, and we use just fire and smoke. The secret about good barbecue all starts on the table with the trimming it just right, putting a good seasoning on it, but not too much, and then managing the fire. Once it goes into the brisket, the most important part of cooking that brisket or ribs or sausage, turkey, chicken, whatever it is managing the fire properly so that you get good clean smoke all throughout the pit. And sometimes it's a 14 to 16 hour cook when you're cooking briskets, and it's very tedious. It takes a long time, it takes a lot of work to make sure that fire stays clean. But if the fire stays clean, it's going to be a great product every time. Not really. I've been doing this a long time, so this is the last restaurant I have. Sullivan BBQ is the last restaurant I have. So I'm going to hang out here and enjoy what I do and enjoy cooking barbecue and enjoy my customers for a little while longer, and then I will retire. Well, the food is always very important, and when it comes to barbecue, it's very important to do it the right way. Not the shortcut way, but the long way. It's very important to do that every single time, because we cook out in the weather. So the weather plays an intricate role in how that meat turns out, because you have to consider the humidity, you have to consider the wind, you have to consider cold, hot. There's a lot of things you have to consider when it comes to cooking good barbecue. That's why they call us pitmasters, because through the years we have mastered all of those items in order to cook good barbecue. But other than the food, in a restaurant business, especially in my business, hospitality is very important. It's just as important as putting great food on a plate. So for me, Texas barbecue is the best barbecue in the world. Every state, every culture has their own barbecue. But for me, because I'm a Texan, I was born and raised right here, our barbecue is the best in the world, because we cook it unlike any place else in the world.
Yeah, lean and ribs.
On 9. Call 9.
Stop making fun of me.
No onion heard.
Look at Terry in the window. Starts here. It goes around. It's this is like a Western art kinda, and that's like the restaurant. But this is like Texas, you know, the road runners and the coyotes. Ooh. Yep, and our cactus that we love in Texas.
It's beautiful, yeah.
It's pretty.
Nice.
Today's Meatloaf Wednesday. Did y'all come for Meatloaf Wednesday?
No, we came for
Today's Meatloaf Wednesday. Did y'all come for Meatloaf Wednesday?
we came for